Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for your patience. Welcome everybody here, present, and everybody who's online, virtually, for the City of Hialeah Council meeting of May 24th, 2022. This meeting is officially called to order. And Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. Casamuñoz. Ms. Garcia Robles is not present here at this time. She's present. Ms. Perez. Ms. Rodriguez. Mr. Tumidor. Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a full council.
Thank you. Madam, can you lead us in the invocation? And I remind you again, today's a special day, not for anything, not for good news, but for the tragedy in Texas. So during our invocation, if you can remember those children who lost their lives today in Texas, we would appreciate that. Madam.
Lord, we pray for your guidance and direction and benefit of those who live and work in the city of Hialeah. We also pray for the victims and the families of those who lost their lives in today's massacre. Amen.
Thank you. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Luis Rodriguez. Thank you, everyone. That was the fastest Pledge of Allegiance. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Are we still getting feedback, IT? No? Okay. Madam, will Silvana or you be reading the
I'll read the
guidelines?
guidelines.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please read the meeting guidelines.
The following guidelines have been established by the City Council. All lobbyists must register with the City Clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No second item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the City Council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the City Council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 6 are presentations. We have a presentation from our Hialeah Parks and Recreation Department that'll be provided by our very own Stephen Diaz and maybe others. So front and center, sir, name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Stephen Diaz, 2437 West 73rd Place, Hialeah, Florida. Thank you all for having us today.
Thank you for being here.
I'm here tonight on behalf of actually one of our amazing colleagues, Mr. Leslie Bermudez, who unfortunately has been out sick for a few days. And so as a precaution, he sends his regards from far. This presentation is for recap Youth Football League that was hosted from February of 2022. Mr. Vitales administered the league along with our staff. who helped oversee the league's success. Park staff were involved by coaching and mentoring our youth, teaching leadership and team skills, and working closely with our parents to ensure a positive experience throughout the season. The league itself accommodated 3 different quoted age ranges, totaling at roughly 300 participants registered and 28 teams total. Participation in the league included an NFL flag reversible jersey, Dolphin colors, of course, uniform shorts, and awards at the conclusion of the season. The age ranges were from 6 through 9, 10 through 12, and 13 through 17. Teams at various parks throughout the city held multiple weekly practice sessions and participated in at least 1 game a week. Games were conducted out of Sparks Park, Southeast Park, and Wild Community Center. For the duration of the regular season, teams vied to represent their home parks and make the playoffs. We are so proud of all of our participants, parents, and coaches for giving 300 members of our youth the opportunity to play and enjoy the sport of flag football in a safe and pleasant environment. We can't say enough about our staff and the effort they put into making this season an enjoyable one. So I'd like to take this time to thank all of the staff involved. We have some of them here today, some of our coaches, and some of those who could not be here with us today, obviously, since they're at our park facilities. We'd also like to take this time to thank the parents for showing their support of youth sports and being such a great example for their kids on and off the field. Tonight, we have asked members of our championship teams, as you may have realized during the Pledge of Allegiance, some of them are here today, to share in their achievements. And I'd like to publicly recognize each of our champions and their coaches with hopes of a photo opportunity with the mayor and council at the conclusion of the presentation. So first up, our 6 and 9 champions from Goodlet Park with Coach Jonathan Montesino.
Where's the coach? Ask the coach to stand up when you name the coach. Hey, thank you, coach.
There you go,
And
Coach.
kids. Yeah.
As you can see, they brought their gold with them just to make sure that they represented. So just to give some quick recognition of some of our players, Camila Champion, Kevin Diaz, Victor Escobar, Blake Fernandez, Alexi Hernandez, Scarlett Leal, Jonathan Madrid, Sadie Madrid, Stephen Meza, Delilah Korch, Ramsey Romero, and Samuel Rodriguez. They are part of Goodlet Park 6 and 9 championship team. Congratulations, boys and girls.
Bravo. At the end, though, we got, yeah. Madam.
We also have with us our 10 and 12 champions representing Veterans Park with Coach Johan Ochoa.
Stand up.
And members of their team consist of George Barrero, Sofia Barrero, Elijah Diaz, Donovan Diet, Zayden Gonzalez, Ruben Lozano, Jake Logrono, Sebastian Martinez, Jordan Milla, Osmani Otero, and Ethan Sarosa.
Yay.
Congratulations to the Veterans Park. And last but not least, we have our 13 and 17 champions representing Bucky Dent Park with Coach Kevin Coloma. And their members consist of Jonathan Anguara, Jacob Joseph, Orlani Millan, Jasmine Montes Terroso, Christian Oliva, Christopher Oliva, Kevin Fee, Kevin Gonzalez, Abraham Perez, and Fausto Matos. Bucky Dent Park, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we appreciate the support of our parents, our coaches, for what you guys have done all season. Our kids did an incredible job throughout the season, working hard on their basic skills and football fundamentals to make it to this point. So we're really proud of you guys. We hope to see you guys back next season. And as always, we always look forward to the support of Mayor and Council for all of our youth sports within the city. So thank you all for making this possible. If you all wouldn't mind a little group photo with each of our teams, that'd be amazing.
We're honored. Yes.
Thank you guys. We'll start with our 6 and 9 group. 6 and 9 group from Goodlet Park.
It's weird, but it's like a colored.
Ay, Dios mío.
In my board, I'm going,
All right, next up are 10 and 12s, Veterans Park. All right, and last team, Bucky Dent, 13 through 17.
Willie. All right, wonderful presentation, wonderful. Wow, and we got Willie Sanchez and Stephen Diaz. We got good people there in Parks and Recs. Everybody, everybody. Congratulations to all of you. All right, we got number 7, item 7, comments and questions. These are comments and questions from the audience online. Sir, did you want to? Is that for us, Silvana? Okay. You got the file? Yeah. This seems complicated. It's got a file. There's a file? Approval.
You didn't give enough. Yeah, he's gonna talk. I need one for the record. Share with her because he didn't give enough.
Good evening, sir. Protocol is, please, if I can get your name and address for the record, and you've got 3 minutes once that formality has been fulfilled. Go
Mi
on,
nombre
sir.
es Juan Carlos Enríquez.
Okay, we're
My
gonna
na-
need, do we need, okay, you ready for that?
My
Go on,
name is
sir.
Juan Carlos Enriquez.
Yo soy dueño de Car Forever Body Shop,
I am the owner of Cars Forever Body Shop,
que radica en 4705 y 10 Lane,
which is located on 4705
Hialeah, Florida 33013.
East 10th Lane, Hialeah, Florida 33013.
El motivo de mi estancia aquí hoy es que desde 2000 yo tengo este negocio.
The motive for my presence here today is because I've had this business.
Trayendo empleo y dinero a esta ciudad.
I've brought employees and business
Oh, I
to
know
the
this.
city.
He's not-
Yo soy una persona que me gusta hacer las cosas correctas y soy un ciudadano respetuoso de la ley.
I am the type of person that I like to do the right thing, and I am a respectful citizen.
En el 2005 decidimos expandir nuestro
In
negocio
2015, we decided to expand,
y agregamos pintura al taller.
and we added paint to the tire shop, body shop.
Body shop, ya.
Sorry.
Hicimos todos los trámites de licencia, se contrató a alguien, se hizo todos los
We went through
trámites,
all the process to obtain license.
se aplicó con el DEN,
We applied with DERM.
entonces se me otorgó un certificado de uso y yo con los planos hechos, también
We
tengo
did the
probado,
certificate of use and the plans.
también tengo probado un uso de zonificación.
We have the approved sonification of zoning.
Y he tenido problemas con mi licencia.
I've had issues with my
tres
license.
veces,
three
tres veces
times.
he acudido al CIRI a resolver el problema
I've gone to the city 3
y
times.
me han dicho que sí, que me van a recalificar el negocio,
I
que
have
no me
been told that
preocupe, que
The
todo-
business
que
will
no,
be
no me van a molestar,
reclassified.
que los, sí, ya, sorry. Que los inspectores no me van a molestar, es cierto.
That the inspectors will not bother me,
No
and
me han
it is true.
molestado. No me
They
han
have
molestado.
not.
Hasta ahora,
At this time,
yo volví a caer de nuevo en el mismo turbulento problema de las licencias.
I see myself in the same issue with
Y-
the licenses.
Me he estado comunicando con el señor Oscar para ver si resolver este problema.
I've
y él
been
me
in
ayuda,
contact with Mr. Oscar,
pero me siguen pidiendo planos y cosas.
but they continue to ask me for things and plans.
Yo no entiendo por qué, si yo llevo 22 años,
I don't understand why, since 25
y
years
soy un
ago,
negocio reconocido, he trabajado
I've
con
been in the
ciudad,
business that has been recognized. I've worked in the city.
tengo las aprobaciones necesarias.
I have the proper approvals necessary.
Solamente estoy pidiendo que reclasifiquen mi licencia
All I'm asking is for my license to be reclassified
en 3 oportunidades.
in 3 opportunities.
Yo he tratado de tener una cita con el señor alcalde,
I have tried to obtain
que creo que es mi
an
derecho,
appointment with the mayor.
tener una entrevista con él cuando lo necesite.
I would like to have an interview
No se me ha
when
dado esa
it's
oportunidad.
necessary, but I have been able to obtain that.
He tenido que venir aquí ante el consejo y proponer esto.
I've had to come today in front of the city council and propose this.
Espero que con mi presencia en el consejo y tanto como usted, señor alcalde,
I hope that my
Puedan-
presence in front of the council and the mayor
puedan atender mi caso y valorarlo.
could help value this case.
En los files que le entregué, tengo pruebas de todo lo que le he dicho
In the
aquí.
file that I have provided to you, there is proof.
Y yo me sigo preguntando por qué si yo tengo
And I continue to ask myself why,
22 años funcionando como
if I
taller,
have been functioning for more than 25 years,
18 años pintando,
18 years painting,
siendo un vendor de ustedes, porque yo le he trabajado a ustedes desde el 2013, le trabajo a la ciudad de
being a
Hialeah.
vendor for the city of Hialeah and
Tengo las
working for the city of
aprobaciones y los
Hialeah.
permisos. Se extraviaron los planos, no es culpa mía.
It is not my fault that the plans have been
Ten-
lost,
Tenga que pagar yo esto. El señor Oscar me
that I
mandó a
have to pay for
cancelar
this.
mi contrato.
Perdona, señor Enrique, perdona que te interrumpa, perdona. Te puedo, do you need me to say it in English? You could translate. Please let him know. Refer him. It's a little more complicated than what he's letting us know. There's a change of use. There's a bunch of things here. Can you let him know to go speak to Mark Gomez from the mayor's office? And we're going to give him some personalized attention. Te vamos a dirigir con el señor Gómez de la oficina del alcalde para que hagas arreglo con él. ¿Está ahí? Mark, can you talk to the Mr. Enriquez?
Yo estuve haciendo trámites con el señor Oscar.
Mire, este es excelente, te lo prometo.
Yo
Mark
confío-
Gómez.
Yo confío en mi alcalde. Yo no confío en nadie. En este
Esa es
momento,
la mano derecha.
En nadie
Usted
más.
habla primero con él, el señor Enrique, tranquilo, tranquilo. Habla primero con Mark, plantéale a él lo que tiene y entonces seguimos de ahí para que lidie ya directamente con un oficial de la oficina del alcalde. Y si el alcalde tiene que intervenir, él lo va a hacer. Tú, tranquilo.
Buenas noches.
Gracias, señor Enrique. Thank you. Anybody had anything to add on that? I'm sorry that, no? Did I dispense it? Okay, thank you. Thank you, madam. Any other comments and questions? Slick, no? I'm disappointed. I've never been disappointed in you, never. Thank you, sir. I'm not, yes, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Thank you. If there are no other comments and questions in general, we're going to go to item 8, announcement of amendments and corrections to the agenda. Madam Clerk?
Consent items F, G, H, and I have been added to the agenda. Item PZ2 is deferred until June 14, 2022, and the proposed ordinance for item PZ3 has been amended and is on the dais for your review.
Okay, thank you for the announcements and amendments. Let's take a pause a second. I think we had another, and I missed the gentleman comment and questions. Señor, ¿necesita un traductor or you're good?
I'm going to start in English.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
Later, I'm going to need a translator.
Name and address for the record. Give it your
My
best
name is
shot.
Gabriel
3 minutes.
Rodriguez. My
Yes, sir.
address is in 361 East 12th Street, Hialeah.
Yes, sir. Go on.
That's it.
Yes, sir. Go on.
Mr. President,
Mhm.
tonight is very, very important night to me. Do you think you can give me, after the minutes, the regular minutes, some extra minutes to finish? Otherwise, I'm going to be here next month. I'm going to cut in half everything, and next month, I'm going to be here again.
How
But,
long do you predict?
8-10 minutes?
I can't give you that tonight,
Okay.
sir. We have an agenda, a full agenda. Start with the 3 minutes. Try to give us the best you've got, please, Mr. Rodriguez. Thank you.
Thank you.
You ready? Yeah.
I want to share a little story about myself, but I'm going to left that for the next time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, tonight I'm going to say something. A lot of people in the city of Hialeah, they are trust and they're very confident about all of you persons. Let's translate this thing. Yo he seguido la trayectoria del el señor Bobo por muchos
I
años.
followed Ms. Mayor Bovo for many years.
No tenemos amistad, por supuesto,
We do
pero
not have any
he
friendship.
conocido opiniones de muchas personas que saben mucho de política. Siempre me comentaron, me dijeron, este individuo
I
aparenta
have
ser,
always been commented that this individual
este individuo aparenta ser buena persona,
is apparent to be a good person.
es una persona decente
He is a decent person.
y es muy buen mediador y muy buen político. Por
He is
eso me
a good
imagino,
mediator and a good politician.
que en este momento el
So I can imagine in this moment,
mero está ahí sentado con ustedes
the mayor is sitting
Quiero
right now with
referirme
you guys.
también al resto de todos ustedes. La ciudad de Hialeah y fuera de la ciudad de Hialeah
The city of Hialeah and outside of the city of Hialeah
está gozando de un criterio muy bueno y muy favorable acerca del trabajo que ustedes están haciendo. Yo llevo en la ciudad de Hialeah 39 años. Llegué a este
been in this
país,
city for 39 years. I came to this country.
aquí hice mi familia, mi hijo, mi hija, mi
I
nieta.
had my family here, my
He visto,
grandchildren.
he visto las buenas y las malas, y
I've
las
seen the bad and the
regulares.
good and the regular.
A mi entender, la
My
ciudad,
understanding, the city of
Sorry.
Hialeah
la ciudad de Hialeah se está enfocando por un camino muy, muy
city is
positivo.
focusing in a good path.
Comentando también con la fuerza de la policía, los he visto en la forma tan profesional que están actuando,
In regards to the police department, they have behaved
tienen
in a professional.
la fuerza tiene muy buena opinión
The
del
force has
alcalde
a good
y del
opinion
nuevo-
on the mayor
y del nuevo jefe de la policía.
and on the new chief of police.
Puedo mencionarles algunos como oficial Delgado,
I can mention many,
conversado
like
con
official
ellos.
Delgado,
oficial Troer,
Officer Troy,
el sargento Marín,
Sergeant Marine.
muchos de ellos
A
que
lot
en
of them,
ocasiones yo me detengo
in many
y trato de
occasions, I have stopped myself and I've tried
conversar. Me interesa todo
to
eso
conversate with them.
porque se me olvidó presentarme y diciéndole para decirles a ustedes que yo este país lo amo
In this
igual
country, I love this country
que yo amo a Cuba y
I
esta
love
ciudad
Cuba.
yo la amo
and I love this city
por las oportunidades que me han dado a
for all
través
the
de todos
opportunities
estos
that have
años.
been granted to me.
Gracias, señor
I
Rodríguez.
thank you for the time. Next time, believe me, I'm going to come over.
You are invited. Every meeting you want to come, you are invited back. Thank you.
No, no, I
And
try to be here
especially
next time.
to compliment us. Thank you so much. Gracias, gracias,
Thank you, everybody.
Rodríguez.
Thank you, Mayor.
Está-
Thank you.
quedas invitado a todas nuestras reuniones, ¿ok? Gracias. Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you again. Anyone else? Nobody else wants to compliment us? Thank you all. Thank you. Gracias otra vez, señor Rodríguez. Thank you. Okay, we've read the announcements and we're up to the consent agenda. Does anyone anywhere and in the dais want to pull any items from consent?
Motion?
We have a motion from Councilman Luis Rodriguez. Second from Councilman Tundidor. Is that you, sir? Yes. Okay, and we can call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor, Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz. Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed.
Thank you. Don't do that to me again, Louis. Thank you. Okay, we're up to the 10 administrative item. Can you please read item 10A into the record, Madam Clerk?
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-15 adopted on March 8th, 2022 of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18 entitled Businesses, Article 6, Peddlers, Solicitors, Itinerant Vendors, Division 2, Peddlers, Itinerant Vendors, Section 18-311, Retail Sales from Tents, allowing retail tent sales other than the sale of Christmas trees and fireworks as a special event, allowing additional time for retail sales as a special event, allowing for a farmer's market, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. 10A is an ordinance that's on second reading, open for public hearing, thereby public discussion. Did you want to speak about this, sir? Name and address for the record, Frank.
Good evening, Frank De La Paz, 9361 Burr Road. I just want to make a comment on this ordinance. There's something that you're all leaving out, and you may not be aware of it. Almost 50 years ago this year, I drove into Hialeah on a food truck. I had to get rid of it because it wasn't legal. Hialeah still doesn't have an ordinance regulating food trucks. And I see, not specifically on this ordinance, but I see several events that the city has been sponsoring and going on and this and that. And food trucks come in, but they are illegal. They don't pay a local business tax in Hialeah. So even though it doesn't necessarily pertain to this ordinance, somebody should look into the possibility of controlling the food trucks and making them legal once and for all, because they are around in the city. They're being operated. There will be more food trucks coming into Hialeah in the next 6 months, believe me. Opalaca, as you know, the flea market is closing, and we have nothing in the books. Even though they're not prohibited, they're not allowed. And every time we have some of these special events that this ordinance will entail, food trucks are invited, and they're not regulated highly at all. They don't even pay a local business tax. So maybe down the road, not administration, the city council to come up with a law regulating food trucks.
I guess we got to find
Thank
out
you.
what other cities are doing, right?
Through the
Yeah,
chair.
Go ahead, sir, you're recognized.
Thank you. Hey, Frank, just to kind of address that point, we've been working on some language for the food trucks already for quite some time. It's a little tricky because Florida statute says we really can't govern them directly, right? So it's a couple hurdles that we're jumping through. We're coming up with different ideas, maybe a designated area for these folks. So it's in the works. So I'm glad you brought that up. But the mayor's office and myself, we're working on that.
No, after all, after 50 years, I almost retired. I might decide to get one once again. And
You should.
You should. Mejor lonchero, no food truck, lonchero.
no. Food truck.
Thank you. Frank.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else on that topic? Thank you. Do I have a pleasure of the council? Any discussion or pleasure of the council?
Motion.
Motion from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Do I have a second? Second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Rovez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Item 10B, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending Chapter 98 entitled Zoning, Article 5, Zoning District Regulations, Division 16, entitled C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, Section 98-1112, entitled Uses Prohibited, removing open-air markets as prohibited activity, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. 10B is open, is on second reading, open for public discussion. It is a public hearing. Having no comments from the public, pleasure of the council. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. 10C, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending City of Hialeah Ordinance Number 2022-20, adopted on March 22nd, 2022, to correct the last date that the Miami-Dade County Supervisor of Elections will register voters for the City of Hialeah special primary election of November 8th, 2022.
Thank you. Ordinance 10C is on first reading.
So the date falls on
Yes, you are
October.
recognized, madam.
I apologize profusely. Through the chair,
Accepted. Yes, ma'am.
what is the date, please?
So the date was supposed to be October 10th, but it falls on Columbus Day, so the county has moved it over one additional day, October 11th.
Motion.
Pleasure of the motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Rovez,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
10D, please.
Public hearing to receive public comments in which the city is proposing to provide free bus services and elimination of fare to the public through the City of Hialeah Transit System for the routes of Flamingo and Marlin.
Better be public comments, better be only praise, because this is wonderful. So, Mayor, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I think it's pretty straight and simple, and obviously, I think it should be well received. We've done an analysis of the money that we receive from the half penny, and we've done an analysis of the money we receive from fare box collection of our system. And really what we collect is nothing. It's nothing. It's 20,000 and change for the entire year. The goal of our transit system should be to entice people to use it. And most of the riders that we have right now are not paying to ride. They're using the Golden Passport. Now, if any of you, and I'm sure some of you, if many, if not all of you, have already ridden our system and to do an audit, your own audit, to see how it works and operates, you'll see that many of the folks, like I said, don't pay. Those that do, delay the system in having to stop and pay. And to me, the idea really should be enticing folks to use it. This, I think, should be the first logical step of what I think comprehensively we'd like to do with all of you. And we have that flexibility that the county does not have, is to look at our transit system and how it could be married to a lot of the development that we're seeing in the city. You know, we're in many instances, you're getting applications that are asking for parking variances, increased density. All these are good things, not bad things, provided that we have a public transit system that could feed these development nodes. And again, I think we have a flexibility that others don't have, that we could go ahead and tailor the system to fit where that development is, create the ridership, take people where they want to go, which is critically important. And I think it starts with a hassle-free, get on the bus and go. And I think the analysis will show that the money that we receive from the half penny more than covers the expenses, or makes up the difference that we're going to perhaps lose in the fare box or lack thereof for fare box collection. Right now, the system we provide goes into Hialeah Gardens also. Hialeah Gardens does pay us to service them. Nothing of that would change. The only part that we're talking about is a fare box collection. But again, lack of thereof fare box collection. So this, we think, is going to be an enticer for more people to be able to use our system. We have seen an increase lately, obviously correlation with gas prices. But if we can have a system, and again, collaborate with all of you to be able to feed the places that we're seeing most of the development, I think we'll be able to create something different in the city of Hialeah. And as again, I challenge myself, I challenge all of you, let's think of the system 25 years from now and how that system works. And who better than to be able to guide them than, you know, a council that knows where the development is coming. So that's my 2 cents. And I hope, you know, as this goes through with public testimony or public input, again, the ones that ride the system would be probably best ones to advise us on the system, Mr. President.
Yes.
Through
Any
the chair?
comments? Ma'am, you're recognized.
But I'm glad that you brought this up, and I'm glad that we're talking about this, because one of the things that while we've been going around through the senior centers, when we've been visiting with our friends from Tallahassee, one of the things that they have said is that they use a freebie in the centers, in the housing projects. And I think that it would be a great idea to see if we could find a way, obviously not every single one, but somewhere in the center where they could get the bus, if that's something that we could work with housing. And another thing that's brought up to my attention this past week is our special population. That, you know, that's like my baby in the city. Special population, the parents that are of the special needs are getting older. And we had a huge scare last week with one of the fathers that was taking his son to special population and got lost. And they found him in, Chief, are you aware of this? They found, I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry, special population, that a father was taking his child, which is 50 years old, to special population, and he got lost because he didn't realize where he was, and he ended up in Dania Beach. He ended up, and he had a fender bender in Dania Beach. That's how they were able to find him and call the city of Hialeah. And our director went to Dania Beach with her husband so she could pick up the car and bring it back. But one of the things that I was thinking of is maybe we could get, and I don't know how freebies, is it freebie? Freebie works, but I don't know if we could either get maybe a bus service specifically for them, for the residents in the city of Hialeah, to transport them to the center and back, or the bus.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that at Edgar Hall, they do have that service. The problem with that bus service that transports the adults to that program is that they closed it off. So it was a grandfathered in grant that we had, and they only allowed for, I believe it was up to 35 to 50 participants. And anyone that supersedes that amount, they don't cover the cost. So they charge you to have the participant in the program, and they charge you for the bus.
So
So it's only certain people that have been grandfathered in.
And I know this happened actually in 2010, that whoever was there from before gets the free service from the bus.
Correct.
The problem is that the bus that they were using, because of the gas and everything else, got very expensive. So I was speaking with Cynthia to see if we could find a private bus that we could get a donation. And we've done this when we gave them their bus to transport, specifically the one that's in the wheelchair, that the other bus didn't have a ramp, to get a donation in order to pick up the participants that are the free ones without having the city to pay for that bus service. Because right now the city is paying for that bus service, and when they canceled one and went to the other, the difference in the price in their budget was almost $40,000, and that's a really big deal for Edgar J. Hall. And that's one of the centers that are so important not to remove from the line item in the budget, because when you get grants for anything for them, they are treated as children, and everybody has to do the same thing. So if today they have a grant and the grant could be $100,000, everybody has to go bowling. Well, half the population don't want to go bowling, and they have to go. Not, you don't follow the grant to the T, it could be removed. I'm not saying that it will, but it could be removed. So that's one of the line items that are very dear to our heart. And today we spoke with Samon 23 to see if they would look into what I've been doing when I went to Texas for residency for those participants, that their parents are 80 and 90 years old, and they're still taking care of them. And we need to find a better solution for that. But the freebie, and I know about the bus picks them up and drops them off. And sometimes they drop them off very late because of the traffic and everything. And they're so scattered. They're so scattered as to where they live. So that's something that we would have to look into. And we were talking about the buses. That's why I thought maybe that would be a good idea. They could all get dropped off in a specific, place and be picked up, because they do take care of each other.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I do have some questions on that. Would it be possible to get some transit utilization reports? I mean, I'm curious to see how, what's the numbers
Yes.
on ridership. Also, I like the concept. I like the approach. I think our residents will like that approach as well, free ridership. I'm concerned with moving forward if this program begins to expand. I mean, are we going to need more trucks? Are we going to need more buses? Are we going to need more manpower? If a bus breaks down, does the half penny, does it cover for those expenses? I mean, would we have to do we see maybe 5 years down the line, do we see ourselves maybe charging again? Just kind of those are the biggest concerns of mine.
Look, I think all valid concerns. We do have new buses coming online now. We should be doing something in June to unveil those bus systems, and then I think at that time we formally want to unveil the free bus system. Very similar to what's going on in Doral, Coral Gables, as you're very well aware. Councilman, we right now in the city of Hialeah, we're also looking to expand freebie. The parameters on Freebie, my understanding is that Freebie works in zones right now. And so you literally have to get off the car
Mhm.
and then wait for another freebie where it might just be easiest to take you from point A to point B. And these are all real things that are going on. We may be challenged as a council and an administration to look at transit in a much more serious vein than we've ever had before. People are complaining about traffic in our city, no doubt about it. And I think we need to react. And I will tell you, I'm gonna, not yet, but soon enough, I'm gonna challenge us, all of us, to look at transit in a way that's never been looked at before in the city. Whether it's people mover style of mobility in our city. What does that mean? How can you do it? Does it have to be elevated? Could be a grade. I want to challenge us long term. I don't want us to just look at what was done and just repeat it and repeat it, because ultimately we're looking at a city that is evolving before our eyes, right? And we're seeing, I was talking to Deborah today, how many applications are coming that are going to go vertical, and how many people come to live in those areas, and the challenges that we're going to have. Does that spill off revenue? Do we look at ways of augmenting our transit revenue through some of these development projects because we're going to their door? I think all that has to be on the table long term. It won't be a solution from one day to the next, but I think long term, these are things that I think we're going to be challenged. You know, let's face it, once you cross the divide of saying we're going to provide you free transit, and this is how we're going to pay for it, the half penny, there's no going back.
That's right.
No going back.
Yeah.
So it's not something I take lightly, but I think it's something that we're seeing other communities, the beach, Doral, City of Miami, Miami Gardens, all of them, have crossed that line of free service. And what we've seen what it's done in those cities. Their systems are busting at the seams because people are using it to move within the city, to go to lunch from an employment place to a restaurant area.
Yeah.
So these are all things I think that comprehensively we're going to be challenged. You're all going to be challenged to look at and really start thinking how we're going to guide this city for the next. What's it going to look like 20 years from now?
Mayor, is the idea still to subcontract this service out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
All right.
so. Yeah, I think
All right.
so.
And then lastly, Mayor, I'm looking at the map here. Would it be possible in the future to make some adjustments to these routes?
Hope so.
Yeah, because I see, we have, we don't cover the southern TOD areas or the Leah Arts District. I think we're going to see a lot of development specifically in those areas.
Precisely because we have that, I think we have that flexibility. It does require a dialogue with our residents. You don't want to just throw a monkey
Right,
wrench
right,
into
right,
the
right.
system, but you want their buy-in and understanding. But you just laid out a perfect example. If we know that in the future we want to see development along the Lee Art District, a different kind of movement there, then it's going to be on us to try to feed that, right? If we know that there's going to be development coming to perhaps around the metro stations that we have in the city, it's going to be on us. Is how do we augment that? How do we support that? How do we take people from point A to point B? Right now, what we have is a system, but is there space for us to run what I would call a trolley? There may be another name for it that just goes straight from one point back and forth all day long. And that's going to be the challenge that I've given to our transit department. Let's look at our system. How do we challenge ourselves to do it differently? And not just to do it differently for the sake of doing differently, but how does that work? You see development coming along Red Road, the old kennel. Prestige is developing all along behind on the east side of West 4th. Pura Vida's coming. You got Shoma Home. And like I said, Deborah's got other ones. We've got another area, the whole annex area that is right for us to be able to feed and provide some service. And thanks to the efforts of a team effort, the bridge on 170th is going to open soon enough. Does that open a valve for us to do something that also services Miami Lakes? Can we sit down with Miami Lakes and talk? Because I would think that if you live in the annex, you might want to go into Main Street, and perhaps the system could do that. And again, back and forth, that kind of. So, look, we have a lot of flexibility because we don't have because we contract. It gives us the ability to say, hey, this is how we want to play around with it. We're just going to have conversations with our residents to do something that's smart and that they're going to use and that they sign off on, and not, just say for the sake of doing it, right?
Right, right.
That's my hope.
And I think lastly, Mayor, that and this is probably later on down the line, I don't think we're ready for that yet, but is to also put an emphasis on micro mobility, right? So, electric scooters, electric bikes, maybe in areas that maybe won't be captured by the, this transit system or freebie. So I think that'll be great. But yeah, absolutely. Okay. If we could get that report though.
Yeah,
just
yeah, no, absolutely. Let's make that available to the council. And there's another thing that's out there in the horizon, not for today, but it's something that we should start thinking in terms of when I talk about big plan. And I can't even believe I say this because 5 years ago I would have said you're crazy. I've already had people approach me about drone mobility. Okay, I know it sounds weird. It has, it's kind of Jetson. Maybe none of you except you know what the Jetsons are.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. I know you do. I know you do. But this mobility, people have already come and talked to me about this mobility of drone technology that could, literally sit 2-3 people in there and move them across town from here to Miami and back. Drone taxis. It sounds crazy to me. I may never sit in one, even if it's here today. But let's face it, there's going to be an evolution that is going to make our heads spin, and so we're going to be challenged again to look at these things and say, how do you accommodate and how do you make this stuff work? And I don't think it's crazy talk anymore to talk about these things and at least give it some seriousness. Because the technology will be here before you know it.
Yep.
And if I may, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to give a little background that I spoke to Jason Spiegel from Freebie, just to give you a little bit of data on how it's been doing. We launched in August of 2020 through a grant that was through, that Deborah had also helped with that was with our transit system. That's why it's separated into the east and the west side, right? And through that grant, it didn't really allow that flexibility. When we launched in 2020 of August, Aventura launched as well. They had 2 vehicles right after we did. We were the first municipality to launch with the Tesla model. Since then, Aventura has increased about 8 more vehicles. We have 3. And if you look at the data reports that Freebie says, our Hialeah housing and our elderly population that are 55 and over are the majority of people that are using this, which is crazy because you use an app. And the beauty of it is that it's a door-to-door service. So it picks you up. You don't have to walk to the bus stop for those of them that have any kind of ailments with their knees or hips. And it drops them off exactly at the doorstep of their next location. To run this vehicle, just to have an idea, because I know we have budget coming up, it's about $100,000 for the Tesla vehicle. The golf cart model, which you may see in other municipalities, which is Miami Lakes, it's only a little bit less. I think it's like 80. So it's not a big difference because we have the Tesla that we're spending more. The Tesla could fit about 6 to 8 people in the vehicle. And we did discuss with Julio and with Jason that we said we will probably have like an outreach program and go out and really speak to the seniors, walk them through it, show them how to download the app and call and increase the ridership because it really is something that they've taken advantage of. But moving forward, I think this is wonderful. But we should consider maybe increasing some of the Tesla models, some of the freebie service, because it's that door-to-door service. And I think, Mayor, that what you've discussed and what you've been working on with, merging those 2 areas together would be great. And increasing, I had spoken to some people also to see if maybe we could get some of the developers to sponsor these vehicles, because they could put, you open the app and it has your banner, your location, your phone number on the side of the vehicles. You could advertise. The biggest sponsorship right now that we have on Freebie is Miami-Dade College. And we have a lot of students that take, the free vehicle to go to school. So that's something that maybe we could entice others in the community and then have that service, like you were mentioning before at the developments.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Vice President and Mayor, I mean, I was blown away. We received 4 calls from seniors at Vivian Villas complaining that they wanted more freebie, right? They told me we were going to bring this up during election season too. I was like, but they were really, really upset about it. I was blown away. And because you're right, you need an app, right, to coordinate these trips. So
Interestingly, we need an app. They've been provided a phone number that they could go ahead and dial into,
Mhm.
which is been
course.
very helpful to them, right? But look, I make no bones about the issue of transportation. We need to dive into this.
Yeah.
I can't force people to leave their cars, but I could give them options. And I think that's going to be the challenge. And again, I kid you not, I think there needs to be a deep dive, comprehensive conversation of transit, and no idea is a crazy idea. We're the second largest city in Miami-Dade County. We don't have a people mover. I've seen what the people mover has done in the city of Miami in the downtown area. It energizes areas that normally you wouldn't think about, because you could literally get on this system and get off in 30 different points throughout downtown in the Brickell area. There's no reason why Hialeah can't aspire to those kind of things. It doesn't have to be elevated. It could be a grade. I've ridden systems in California that are a grade, and provide systems that go through intersections and take you to different spots. I mean, these are things that we could do, and there's other funding mechanisms, public-private partnerships. All of this, I think, is something that, as a council, we should be looking at, attacking, kind of thinking through. I think there's going to be some great opportunities there. And if you merge that with some of the development that's coming along, then you could really create even funding sources for some of these things, or at least most of it. So I think these are all kind of first steps. We want to get, obviously, some buy-in to folks. I've challenged our street people. I don't care how it's been done. Challenge yourself. Is there better ways of doing it? No crazy ideas. Let's explore it, share it with all of us, and see if we could go ahead and come up with a better system as we move along.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
And another option that I know I briefly discussed this with Deborah. Do we have anywhere in the city right now? I know we have it where we have the vehicles at the freebie that they charge, but we don't have any public charging systems in the city for those people that have electrical vehicles to charge up their vehicles, correct? Am I right? Can we run, because this is something that we were kind of brainstorming, can we run some kind of data on how much the cost would be to maybe have that service maybe at 2 of our parks moving forward? And maybe find
It's
ways.
Possibly, it could be also like a money-making opportunity for us. I mean, I'm sure there's FPL. I'm sure there's others that might be. I know somebody that works for me who would love to have a charging station here in the city. So.
Well, I think that would be something to move forward, and maybe have an option like that for charging systems, and maybe influence some of the people in our, some of the residents in our city to move forward with purchasing those kind of eco-friendly vehicles. If we could get some data on that, on cost related.
Councilwoman, there's also when people are coming with projects that they want to develop, one of the things that you could always talk to as far as
That's a good idea,
negotiating
yeah.
is, having a couple of charging stations. I'm not a big proponent of forcing them. but
Right, right.
You could lure them with certain credits or what have you.
Mhm.
It could be another way of enticing, young professionals that are
Correct,
driving
yeah.
a Tesla or other, electric vehicles.
That's a good
to
idea,
charge up.
Mayor.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Now that you're bringing that up, the gas stations that we're doing, the Wawas that are coming in and the 7-Elevens that are coming in, to add that to them as well when they come before us. You want to do it in this project or whatnot, that you have to put some other charging station. We also had somebody that is fixing Teslas in Hialeah.
That's right.
And what they asked for was specifically charging stations. That's what they asked for. They said, we're fixing the cars, but when they're not charged, we can't fix them because they're down. So that was interesting, that it's sort of like they put the cart before the horse.
Right.
So
Gusti, did you feel compelled to add something, or you were just ready for questions? Thank you. That being said, this requires a vote, right? To move on.
Second.
Motion, we have a motion from Ms. Casals Munoz. We have a second from Madam Vice President. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Item 11, board appointments, none today, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Unfinished business.
Through the chair.
Sir, you're recognized.
So yeah, just briefly, last Tuesday, I had the opportunity to go to West Palm Beach and meet with the mayor there and tour their CRA. Also met with their CRA staff. In short, I mean, I don't know how familiar you guys are with West Palm. I hadn't been in forever, and it looks completely different than what you would imagine. It's like downtown Brickell. They're actually under construction right now with two 50-story office mixed-use buildings. They're having major companies from New York, such as Goldman Sachs and others that are coming to West Palm, and they're generating approximately $40 million a year just within their CRA. So to say the least, it's exploding in growth and an opportunity for that area. One of the beautiful things that they've been able to do is actually strip in large parts of the CRA, strip the asphalt from the roads, and they've replaced that with pavers. So it makes the area a lot cooler, a lot more walkable. And the CRA is actively also purchasing properties within the area, which then they're able to use via the private-public partnership to bring workforce housing and affordable housing to the CRA because they own the land through leases and other things. So I think it's very exciting. And with your indulgence, I'd like to ask, luckily the directors of the CRA have agreed to come to the city of Hialeah in front of the board to give a presentation and to be available if anybody has any questions, since we weren't able to go to them. But I would just request from you all, probably about an hour or two of your time, whether we want to do that at our next meeting or one of our meetings coming up, or if we want to do that maybe before a meeting or something like that. So we can dedicate, the time to it that I think it warrants. So, I mean, I don't know how we can do this, but I would suggest maybe one of our meetings in June or even July, if we can maybe start that like at 5 o'clock and do a special meeting for just the CRA stuff and go through those questions so they can come down from West Palm, and then we can start a meeting at 7 was kind of my idea. So it would be depending on you guys' availability.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Would we be able to find the status of the CRA that's dormant or closed or whatever it is in the city?
Yeah, so Madam Attorney and I are having a call in the next couple of weeks with the county on that very specific subject. So we would have an answer by that point.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think that's a great idea, and if everybody else agrees, I think it would be great to do it.
How soon can
before.
this, yeah, I agree. How soon can this happen as far as announcing the extended meeting? Madam? Or no? And then give us some dates, like we've done. Okay.
Yeah, we'll exactly. So as long as everybody has buy-in, we can move forward with that.
Everybody okay?
I guess this is just a consensus. It doesn't require a vote on this.
No, I don't
right?
think
Yeah,
so.
I'm okay with it.
I'm
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Sir, Mayor.
Yes, just a reminder that on Thursday the 26th, if you could all put on your calendars at 10:30, we will be having a press conference over at the Home Depot on 49th Street. It is basically the hurricane and summer safety tax holiday, a 2-week period that they give certain items that you could purchase. And we're now on the verge of getting into hurricane season, and it's a good thought to get people to start making their plans and preparing. There'll be some EOC training, I think, tomorrow. We need to start getting into our mindset. Statistics will show you, or the weather guys will tell you, we're going to have an active season. Whether that happens or not doesn't really matter.
Right.
We've all been
Be
through the
prepared.
drill, but we also have many residents in our community that maybe haven't been through it. I think there's an education process that we got to go through, make sure that they have supplies and what have you. The cavalry cannot come and help until 72 hours, and it's extremely important And if there's one thing I learned from being in the county, the emphasis of trying to get critical services back online as quickly as possible, gas stations and supermarkets, so that we don't have to be so heavily dependent. I know everybody goes crazy within 2 hours, they need ice and water. But it's a good opportunity for us over the next week or so to educate people, bang on the drum, get your plans, buy your water bottles now, whatever you need. And it's a tax-free holiday over the next 2 weeks, beginning, if I'm not mistaken, on the 28th.
Correct.
But tomorrow, the 26th will be the press conference. You're all invited at the Home Depot on La 49 at 10:30.
Thank you for the bilingual
Got it.
communication. I guess new business, any new business? We have, moving on to land use, 14, LU1, please, Madam Clerk.
Can we swear in, sir?
Do we have to swear in on this area too before P and Z? Then we swear in. Thank you for reminding me.
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand?
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor, póngase de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. If so, say I do.
Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo. Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
LU1, please
Sec-
read into the record.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from commercial to transit-oriented development district, property located at 1067 East 25th Street, Hialeah, Florida, zoned C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. LU1 is on second reading, open for public discussion, public hearing. I see Ms. Harrow and Ms. Toppin is ready to go with questions. Pleasure of the council. Any questions for them on LU1? Anything?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir. You're
Yes,
recognized.
Just very excited about this project. That's a very important area for the city of Hialeah, especially looking forward into the future. We know that I think Metro Park is also very close to that property as well. And so again, thank you for bringing this before us.
Is that a motion, sir?
That's a motion.
We have a motion from Councilman Tundido, a second from Councilwoman Casal Munoz. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tunidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Let's do something. Let's jump to PZ1. It's related. Can we do that?
It's related to-
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't leave town yet.
Who's posting?
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District to TOD Transit Oriented Development District and granting a variance permit to allow 10 stories where 8 stories is the maximum allowed. Contra to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1544, subsection C2 and 98-1544, subsection D. Property located at 1067 East 25th Street, Hialeah, Florida, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ1 is on second hearing, open for public discussion.
Second.
Motion. I got motions raining. Okay, who was the first one? Louis, Councilman Rodriguez has a motion, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Monica.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second
Council Vice
motion
President.
from Madam Vice President. Call
Ms.
the roll.
Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Tunidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you for
Have a
this.
good evening.
Thank you for this wonderful project, ladies. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good night. Let's go back. Thank you all. Let's go back to LU2. Thank you.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to transit-oriented development district. Property located at 922 East 26th Street, Hialeah, Florida, zoned R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
LU2 is on first reading, not open for public discussion, but certainly open for discussion from the dais or any representative. You are Carlos Diaz, sir?
That is correct.
Did you want to present something to us?
To
or
make
do
a
you-
very brief
Yeah,
presentation. So,
name,
yeah.
name and address again for the record,
Sure.
please. Thank you.
Name is Carlos Diaz with offices at 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. We're here on behalf of the applicant. We have two very simple applications which are related, which is LU2 and PZ8, right? Like the previous item. This is actually part of the Metro Park Hialeah project that Councilman Tundidor mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay.
As you know, that project of Metro Park included most of the block between 25th Street and 26th Street.
Yep.
Except the little car dealership in the corner and an empty lot that was in the rear in 26th Street. Our client was able to acquire the lot on 26th Street, and we're incorporating it into the project. We're not building additional units. We're not building a building there. We're using it for amenity space. It's just that we wanted to come to make sure that everything had the same zoning and the same land use. That's what the two applications before you are. And we're excited about the project. We're moving forward. We're in the permitting process now. We just came in to add that small lot in the back.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a quick question. Do you already own the property or
No, we bought it already. We've
you
closed
already
on
purchased
yes.
it already? Okay. Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Councilman Casals
Second.
Munoz. Second from,
Perez.
Madam
here.
Perez, Madam Vice President Perez. Thank you. My ears are, don't know what. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tunidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
Mr. Diaz, if I can ask you for just, I know I would jump right to PZ8. Just have a seat a moment. I will in a moment. I wanna change order and go to PZ5,
Not a problem.
please. Thank you.
Not 8?
Not yet. I just want to move
I'm sorry, through the
PZ5.
chair. Not
Thank you.
8?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Did you want 8 so quickly? No, I told him to hold on a second. PZ5. Thank you.
Is it because you know somebody? Is that why?
Yeah, and he looks angry. The person, I got to get, yeah. Go ahead.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning from R1, one family district to GUD, governmental use district of property located at 815 West 75th Street, and granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-1630.8, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay, granting a variance permit to allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is allowed above ground floor level only. Allow 1,049 parking spaces where 1,487 parking spaces are required, and allow 19.8% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. Contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-1630.2 and 98-2189, subsections 16A and 16B. Property located at 7605 West 10th Avenue and 815 West 75th Street, Hialeah, Florida, zoned GUD, governmental use district, and R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ5 is on second reading, and unless you're paid by the word, we may be to avoid any questions from Mr. Arza or
Motion
any
to approve.
motion. Motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Did I have a second from that direction?
Second. It was over
Second from
here.
Ms. Garcia Robes. Councilwoman Garcia Robes, please call the roll.
Ms. Perez is away. Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tunidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you all. Good
Have a
evening.
good night, sir. Thank you. PZ8, is Mr. Diaz still with us? There you go, sir. PZ8, thank you.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, One Family District to TOD, Transit Oriented Development, property located at 922 East 26th Street, Hialeah, zoned R1, One Family District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ 8 is on first reading, not open for public discussion, but certainly open for discussion in the dais or pleasure of the council. Do we have?
Motion.
Okay. Motion from, I believe it was Councilman Rodriguez, second from Councilman Calvo. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tumidor? Is away?
Yeah.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
And Ms. Perez is also away. Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
Thank you all very much.
See
Have a
you
great
June
night.
14th. Thank you, sir.
Thank
You
you.
too. Thank you. We're going back to PZ 3 now.
You know, you've been doing this a lot. Back and forth.
I got to keep you on your toes.
I see that.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-181, to allow a 10,840 square foot expansion of the existing 36,950 square foot behavioral health hospital and increase the number of beds from 72 beds to 92 beds and allow 73 parking spaces where 115 parking spaces are required. Contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-2189, subsection 12. Property located at 4225 West 20th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ 3 is on second reading, is open for public discussion in today's meeting, and I will allow discussion for and against if there's anybody. I know there's people for, if there's anybody against. So PZ 3, would you like to start it off, Javi?
Very
Name and address for the
quickly,
record,
very-
sir.
Very quickly, Mr. President and council members, Javi Vasquez with offices at 1450 Brickell Avenue, here on behalf of Southern Winds Hospital. Mr. Alex Menendez is here with me from the hospital, and joining us through Zoom is our civil engineer, Mr. Seth Francis. Our request is on the record. You heard my presentation on first reading. I have given this council a little bit of background of our meetings with the neighbors who are here. Unfortunately, they could not be heard on first reading, but they are here tonight. And the two things that they brought to our attention specifically had to do with drainage and landscape. And you heard our civil engineer last time give you a very specific, detailed plan, which has been incorporated into the ordinance as a condition of approval, as well as the landscaping. And we have every intention of living by that. And the only add-on from last time that I'd like to report to the council is that I informed the council that we have been in discussions with the university next door for purposes of entering into an agreement for shared parking. And we have secured 40 parking spaces by way of a signed agreement with the university that will allow us to have that kind of a relief. Even though the patients and the type of use that we have is not one that's intensive on parking requirements, it's still a nice thing to have, and we plan on giving that opportunity to the employees of the Southern Winds to park next door to make room for visitors and the like. So with that, we will respectfully close. This comes before you with a recommendation of approval from your planner, planning and zoning board, and we hope you'll finalize this on second reading tonight, and we look forward to hearing from the neighbors as well.
Thank you, sir. One moment. Do we have to acknowledge Brian's separation? Okay, so that'll stand here. Okay,
And by
I
the
just
way,
want
Mr.
that for the
President,
record.
I know Mr. Tundero was not here last time to the extent that he needs any explanation from our civil engineer as to some of the things that we explained last time. We're happy to provide that.
Thank you, sir. Is there any, Nancy, before you, any question for Javi yet, or do we want to hear opposing opposition? Anything yet?
I mean, let's
Yeah,
hear. Let's hear,
okay.
then we'll-
Nancy, go ahead. A full
Nancy
name and address
Fons.
for the record, Nancy.
Nancy
Thank you.
Fons, 4110 West 19th Avenue. Since the first reading, I have been trying to get in touch with Seth because there are things that do concern us, especially the drainage. If somebody can want to see, can I have somebody put this on? The problem better. We did communicate with them. Mr. Seth had never returned my phone calls, which was one on the 9th, or my emails on the 10th and the 23rd. There's a little space on the top northeast side of the property on the existing building. Then back in 2018, like I said the last time, they put this PVC through our wall to get the water out. This was not water on the surface of their backyard. This was underneath because I went there and I said, where is the PVC coming from? And they said from underneath. That was in 2018. Okay, you can open, whenever you're ready, you can open drainage and wall, 2017. That is the little area. That's fine. Yeah, let me show them the little area that I'm concerned. That circled, okay, because all the drainage on their plans doesn't show anything. The only thing that they're planning to do in that area is raising the level and making it on a slope so that it can go to the storm drain. Now you can go ahead and show the drainage on the wall, 2017. This was their PVC coming out of, they went without our permission. They went and they drained their land on our side. I went over there and of course I told them I'll go to the city tomorrow, you got 24 hours. They did remove it, but that water is still going to our area. Now, if they don't do anything on that particular part, a particular area, they don't do a drainage, but I'm talking about a drainage, not just changing the level, because that's going to still go to the ground. It's still going to go to our property. I would suggest, and I think we will demand, I got 70 signatures. I will get the rest of them to make it the 126 that we have. To make some kind of the drainage, to take it all the way up there to the little spot. Otherwise, it's not going to be any good. We never had as much problem with what the new proposed building is. So they better take care of that because that's still draining.
Are you okay with the proposal, the expansion they're offering now?
I'm not with
There's
it.
an old problem, right? Are you okay with
No,
that?
I'm not okay with any of it.
Right.
But I know it's going because everything is motion. Yes, 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 yes. and
No,
everything
don't
is-
worry about that, Nancy. If it, don't worry about
This
that.
is a fact. But I want to remind you, gentlemen and ladies, that when we voted for you, is to work for us. Do the best for us, for the citizens. And there's 126 units there. And there's 20 beds. I'm going to win over 126 people. We're all probably going to need a mental hospitals to be done with this. So I want you guys to keep in mind that when you campaign, you are traffic, you are senior citizens a lot. I don't know the rest of you, but everybody's like, for the citizens. Well, we are here now and we need your help. So that is one problem, that little corner that Seth never answered. And we would have had an answer if they would. But now we're back on the second reading, and then nothing has been done or nothing has changed on the plans. Then on the landscaping, there are some trees, but that's not going to make the wall. They're making the hedges, the 12 feet. Remember that you say, wow, 12 feet? They should take it all the way to our wall. Because you're not approving to raise the wall 2 blocks. You said no. Yeah, and they said no. So all my problem is I don't approve of it. We don't agree with it. We don't want it. Thank you so much. But at least tell me what they're going to do with that. Show the other one that says wall. See, you can see our alley. It's not wet. There's no water in our alley. It's not raining on our alley. And yet this is their water. And look at how high that PVC is. That's our high, and that's from underground. That's not from the top level of their backyard. So look at how higher they are. So that water, where's that water go when we want that solved? And then we'll see.
That's that little piece on the northeast
That
still,
is
right?
on the northeast,
Yeah.
the little piece.
Can you go back to the chair?
Map?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Can we go back?
Is that what
to
you
the
want to see, the
Yeah.
map? Yeah. Is that 2018 drainage?
Yeah,
problem?
that's the little red mark.
Yeah.
Over at the square here?
Yes, ma'am.
You gotta go to ice. I can't see from here. The brown is the,
It's actually where that broken line is that's their property
Right.
line.
yeah. When, on this side, the whole west, east side of the whole property is our wall.
Mhm.
On the top side is the college. So that little corner meets the corner of the college. And on the other side is Citrus. But the whole east side of the property is our wall.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Nancy, so that photo that you showed us, that is only occurring in that east corner?
Well, that's the only time that I saw that they had a big problem when that was in 2019. That they had such a problem with them flooding that they went ahead and they drained it to our property. So now they're not going to have that when they're going to build the 20 beds, they're going to take that ground out. So it's going to be concrete. Where is that water going to go? Also, they said, fine, we're going to do some drainage. What happens to the top part? Still a problem. So, and Carl, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
No, please.
You said that everything that they promise is going to be a condition and it's going to be on the approval. Not like the college, not like we did with the college. We want to do different. So I want to see plans with that and then we can discuss it. So I think this should be postponed to another time.
So 1 second. So through the
Don't
chair.
go away. Don't worry. Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Sorry.
So, Nancy, so you said something earlier. You said, we just approve and approve it. So, yeah, the thing is that all these items that come before us, right? I mean, they're analyzed, right? We review them, we analyze them, and we make sure that they correlate with our overarching goals, right? And so expansion is good, but expansion needs to be smart, right? We need to have smart
Right, I
expansion,
agree.
right? So this is a prime example. I mean, I'm with you on this, right? When we see that type of we can call it whatever we want to call it. You want to call it negligence, whatever you want. That is a problem, right? But expansion is good, right? So now I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Your biggest issue right now, forget about the expansion, right? But your biggest issue is that drainage problem at this point.
Our issues, everything, the privacy of our homes.
Okay, so the trees that you talked about, okay,
Those trees, the storm drains,
that drainage
the whole
issue.
project is a
Okay,
problem. to
so
me.
so those are the two main points that you just mentioned now: the privacy and then the drainage. Okay, Mr. Vasquez, do you mind? Hold on. Mr. Vasquez, so is that understanding those 2 points, right? Is that something that you think your client would be willing to consider at least kind of remedying the situation?
First of all, I'm a little bit taken back by the level of conversation. There's been 2 meetings with the neighbors, one to identify the concerns. The second one after a time period to let our engineers come up with a plan to where we explained what the plan was. I've heard Nancy say tonight, and by the way, there's been zero credibility on anything I've ever told Nancy, and nothing is going to change in that regard. She is saying tonight that the only thing we're proposing to do is raise the grade. False. I gave this council, I'm sorry, Mr. Seth Francis, who's on the line tonight, gave this council a very detailed explanation about the drains that are being installed, the way things are being regraded, the way the catch basins are being re-steered. Mr. Menendez is here too, by the way. He wants to speak to this because I know that he's a little bit disappointed with what he's hearing as well. But for us to stand here and listen to this and hear neighbors say, point fingers at you and make these threats, this council knows I've represented many property owners in this city. These guys have not put any limitation on budgeting to address the neighbors' concerns. Everything that's been mentioned, to be honest with you, their bigger problem is not with us, it's with the university. When you hear about the privacy issues that they have, not about Southern Winds, but you know who's paying the price for the problems they've had with the university? Southern Winds is. Southern Winds, who's been classy about this, who's said, let's do this, not to where we plant trees so that they grow to a certain size, so that they're at a certain size the moment we plant them, and not a distance on center that requires growing in. There is going to be a wall effect with these trees. And we gave that presentation as well to the council on first reading. So I hate to see misrepresentations and to hear my clients sound to be made like a person that's disregarding the neighbors when they're doing quite the opposite. And we're talking about, to close out, Mr. Tundidor, what you mentioned about expansion, and we're also talking about a service that's so much needed in this community. And we all know the service that Southern Winds provides, that's been doing it since 1988.
Yeah.
So I just, I'm a little bit taken back with the level of the conversation. I'm proud of what they've done, and if I could, at the right moment, I would like to let Mr. Menendez approach the council as well.
So real quick before he does,
Of
O'Hara.
course, yes.
So it's just to be very clear, and those 2 points that we just mentioned, they're being addressed.
Absolutely.
All right, good. Go ahead.
Alex Menendez, 10520 Northeast 6th Avenue. I just want to clarify one thing. We purchased the hospital in 2019. She's saying something that happened before we purchased the hospital. Once it came up, she brought up, she sent us an email. She sent us an email on Saturday, 4:30. I was in Las Vegas. At that time, I sent an email directly to my engineer, stated that I wanted a solution to it. He started working on it. For her to say that he wasn't working on it, I cannot do a drainage there. He explained to me because of the height that I would have to bring that property up to have the drainage all the way through. What he's explaining to me, he's on the call if you want to, is that those holes have been covered. If they haven't been covered, we'd have to go back and see if they're covered. And the water should be contained inside our property. And then what he recommended is we're gonna have swales that move the water to the inlets that then take it out to the catch basin, which that happens in all properties. You keep the water in it and you take it to a place that's gonna drain out. I cannot put an inlet there. I told him, do the solution so we can put an inlet there. He told me I can't because I can't go that high because I won't be able to drain the water. So it would be more of a problem that we have right now. So that's what I wanted to state, that we've gone beyond what they've asked us to do, and we're here to help whatever we need to do.
I'm sorry. So what are you going to do about that? So you're just going to cover the holes?
We're gonna go in and we're gonna verify that the holes have been patched, they're patched right, and then in the plan that he has, there's swale areas that run the water to the south to the first inlet, and then go out to the south where there's a catch basin that takes it out to the storm water.
Mr. Tundor, I wouldn't, would it be okay if we asked Mr. Francis to give you a real quick summary of what we're proposing to do from a professional engineering perspective?
I mean, if we could do like a 2-minute type
Yeah,
of.
now, we're specifically talking about the area of concern that they're having. Is
Just
that what
the
he's gonna
drainage
go
part.
over?
Yeah, that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean,
Yeah.
rather
Go
than
ahead.
an attorney
Yeah.
or the owner, why don't we have the engineer?
Yeah.
answer the question?
Yeah,
This is
don't,
the guy-
I know you, don't worry.
And if I may, through the chair,
Yes,
just to
ma'am.
have a little bit of clarity on this specific one. So this problem of the drainage hasn't occurred since 2018? Or is this a recurring issue?
The PVC is no longer there.
Uh-huh.
So it's not coming through the PVC, it's coming under. But it's not coming from the PVC.
So there's still a puddle of
The
water?
Right. The water is still from the bottom, from the ground
Okay.
to our wall. Why? Because they are higher. They're like 18 inches, 24 inches higher than we are. Of course, the ground, when
Absorbs
it
it.
drains, absorbs. and
Right.
takes it
So
to-
hopefully this new solution, if you may, Mr. Seth, Francis, are you on with us? If you can clarify if this would provide that solution, even though the PVC piping would be sealed, would the new drainage resolve this problem without the ground absorbing it and it draining through? For us that didn't study engineering?
Yes. So that is what we believe. We believe if we slope the grade away from this area, that the water will not be able to infiltrate. So infiltration is the problem here. As Nancy alluded to, the site for the behavioral hospital is higher than her site. So what's happening is as water is infiltrating into the ground, it is making its way through the weep hole, which was the picture that was presented by Nancy. So water is going to infiltrate in the ground anywhere that there's green space, and that water is going to infiltrate down to a water table level in the ground. And a lot of people don't realize this, but water does flow underground. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the water away from this section of the wall by lifting up the grades so it infiltrates at another location. And infiltrating this water away from this spot, basically the easiest way to say it is water roughly infiltrates down at about a 45-degree angle. And so if we infiltrate this water far enough away from this wall, it's still going to flow towards that site because the groundwater is flowing that way, but it'll flow at a level lower than the weep hole in the wall, so the site would remain unaffected. So we did look at the option, and I'm sorry, Nancy, you may not have saw our latest plan where we've lifted the grades up and we've created a low spot elsewhere away from this corner. Don't think that I wasn't working towards what you requested.
I never said you were not working, but I've been asking for that particular. I sent you a few emails, one on the 10th and one on the 23rd, sending, I'm concerned. I never said you're not working on it. I never said none of these gentlemen are not doing a good job. They're doing a great job. So am I. By asking.
Okay,
and
Nancy,
making
let's
sure-
let Mr. Francis finish.
Right.
Go ahead, Mr. Francis. Please continue.
Thank you. So, it was requested that we provide an inlet and to, collect this water and drain it, tie it in. We're providing another inlet. Unfortunately, the grades that would have to be maintained to make that work are unachievable for the site.
If I may interrupt you, that wall that's pictured in the photo that Nancy provided where the PVC was going through, whose does that belong to? Does it belong to the association or does it belong to Southern Winds? It's your wall of maintenance. Okay, all right.
Go ahead.
The association, it belongs to the condominium. So, okay, go ahead.
So, yes. So in summary, I believe that the plan, we've revised the plan to address this issue. And I do want to say too, that this issue was presented kind of late in the game. So that's why it wasn't reflected on the plans that you guys saw in the first reading. It wasn't that we were ignoring something. We just did not know about it. But we think that this plan that we put forth now will alleviate this problem. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any other concerns?
I'm giving you a piece of the drawing, a paper, because you cannot put it up on their plans. If you see it and you live there, you don't see anything on the top corner. All you see is they're going to raise the level, which is the fancy word that he uses to raise the level. I don't see that that's going to take care of it. If they would insert since the 10th in a way for me to understand, perhaps, as it is right now, I don't see in the plans anything on the top area that says that it's going to drain, put a drainage, dig on it, but it's not. And then the problem is that what you approved today, the consequences come years later. None of you are going to be here. I am, but I still be living there. And there's nothing we're going to be able to do. Excuse me. So that's the problem. You see the top corner?
Yes,
On
right
the
here.
plan, it doesn't say right. There's nothing there.
I believe is Mr. Vasquez.
Going to ask Seth. Seth, there was what I was hoping for you to provide, especially for one of our councilmen that was not here, is the new drain and the piping that you explained last time. Because again, I keep hearing that the only thing we're doing is raising the grade. Could you please reiterate that very, very briefly?
Seth, again, the spark notes, right? Very, 30-second high level. Go.
Absolutely. So there's a site investigation was done to identify any drainage problems that was found. There was 3 problems found. One of those, there was a downspout coming off the building that was discharging at grade and causing water to surface flow up against this wall, which was creating a problem with seepage along the wall. We mitigated that by taking that downspout, capturing it in a pipe and sending it underground to the south and to the west to an existing catch basin. The second issue that we found was water, the grades at the site as they were existing. They allowed water to run into the wall in several locations. We elevated the grades along the wall so that water runs away from the wall and back towards our site. We graded it in a way that it will drain to the south and to the west to drain into the existing storm system. The third issue was we noticed a low spot at the corner of a section of wall. This, in my opinion, was the biggest concern present on site. We have placed an inlet there to capture the water so it does not pond along here and cause a seepage problem. We have connected that to the pipe system that goes to the south and to the west to the existing storm system.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So, forgive my lack of understanding, but just to be clear, I think what Nancy's concern is, by just looking at this in your explanation, is that the beginning of that 6-inch PVC pipe that it says that there's a 1% slope begins lower than that perimeter of that rectangle that she's pointing to on the top end of that east property. So she's probably asking, why isn't that PVC slope being incorporated up more to the corner of that property where she has an area of concern? So for me, that I'm not an engineer, can you provide that explanation? Why isn't that slope or PVC being provided in the upper corner of that property?
Yes, absolutely. So just north of where that downspout is, there is actually a high point on the side. And so that high point causes water to drain to the south and to the north. So as you go towards the north, the elevation actually drops lower. And so the problem is that we have certain slopes that we have to maintain on pipes for the integrity of the water flow going through those pipes. So basically the water doesn't just pond in the pipes and, then pond on the surface after the pipes are filled up. So unfortunately, we do not have enough fall from that location at the northeast corner to be able to run a pipe and successfully, have adequate slopes to convey the water flow out of the pipe and into that catch basin. What would basically happen if we tried to do that is you would still have that low spot in that corner. We would have an inlet, the pipe would fill up, it would come out of the inlet and then pond in the same place that it's ponding now.
Okay, so the PVC piping is gonna go below the surface of the water, so anything that's being absorbed through the ground there would then ideally be captured in that casting and run down through the inlet instead of going beyond the wall. Is that what we're saying?
No, sorry, I may have, I may not have explained that well. So the PVC pipe that we're proposing is a solid pipe. It's not perforated, so it's not capturing water beneath the grade, because in this section where we're placing the pipe, we don't believe that infiltration's the problem. We believe that the water flow and ponding in that corner of the wall is the problem. And so we're mitigating that with our design. And then this other issue is a completely separate issue and really isn't tied with the mitigation that we're doing to the south. But what we're trying to do is convey the water away from the wall, so when it infiltrates, it will not come back through the wall and affect the property.
Okay. Understood.
Vice President?
And then just on her second point, Mr. Vasquez, I see the drawings of some of the greenery and I don't know, the trees that are gonna be there. She mentioned something about it not going through from one end to the other end of the property. Can you just clarify
We put up
that?
the sketch on the landscaping that we had on first reading. Alex.
There's like a concrete
going
wall,
from
there's
one- The trees are going from the north to the south. It's covering the whole area.
from side to side, the
From side
same
to side.
height.
There's two
So
different.
that's been
types-
added now.
There's two different types of plants that are gonna be used. We're gonna relocate plants that are existing on the property.
So mature
which-
plants.
Mature plants that are 14 to 18 feet, which
Got
are
it.
gonna be in the north area.
Okay,
Basically to right where our building ends, and then the new area that we're gonna build are gonna go 12 to 14-foot bay runs, which are
okay,
gonna be complete hedge, solid hedge.
okay.
So the whole area is getting landscaped.
Landscaping. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that.
Madam
Sir,
Vice President, may I say something? The one thing that I was hoping to have them understand, and I'm hoping this council will understand, is at no time has any of this interaction been about 20 additional beds. It's been about drainage. Yet, without the conditional use that we're before this council for, nothing happened. And we believe there are some restrictions and limitations as to what we can do, but we believe that the drainage problem is going to be resolved with the improvements that have been offered. Are we able to speak engineering with the neighbors? No, that's why we have Seth. And the only thing we can hope to do is that this council can rely on a professional engineer saying this resolves the issue. And I want to once again make sure you understand these guys have not given me any budget limitations, and They've even told their engineer, go find a way to give them what they want.
Give me a second here. Sir, go ahead.
Gonzalo Vicente, 4211 West 18th Lane.
Thank you, sir.
And if y'all really paid careful attention to what he said and then what he said, there is a gap. Because as you pointed out, Madam Vice President, that G4 pipe does not go all the way to the north side of the property. And that's the issue. That little northeast green area, which Seth has said, has a problem that they can't fix. And I do think, though, that maybe there's something they can apply to the bottom of the wall so the water doesn't seep through to our side and ponds on their side. Or, for example, I play golf, and we have water collection areas on the golf course where we purposely slope it in and put a French drain there to draw the water away. I do think there is a possible solution. With regards to the landscaping, the real issue, which he alluded to, is there are two types of trees. The bay plum, I believe, or bay rum, I'm sorry. Those are going to be like 20 foot high, and they're going to run from the south side to about the center. But again, in that little northeast quadrant, I think they're proposing only 4 trees. And then the hedges that they're putting in, how many trees are you putting in? Well, that's not on the map that I saw. No, and the landscaping, the cocoa plum ones that you're doing, it's only the 3 foot, 36.
Yeah, I can't have you discussing it with him. Bring me, don't worry, go ahead.
So correct. So the issue is that there are gaps. So why don't they just put the taller trees from one end to the other?
I'm sure that little request can be fulfilled. I want you to keep, I understand what you're saying. I believe he did offer a solution for that northeast corner. Engineering, I'm not an engineer, but I worked in an engineering firm that did specifically all underground stuff when I was fresh out of high school. There are certain areas because of the grading, because of the level it's at, that they can't put pipe and they can't pitch it. There's not enough of a grade to be able to pitch it to connect. But those swales they're creating are kind of like what you're saying, these culvers that may, bring the water. And what they're doing, they're going to lead the water south, is my understanding, right?
Well, that's the problem, Mr. Zogby, is that we haven't seen those plans.
Okay.
Or at least when she's asked for them, we haven't been provided.
Okay.
And as you all seen it, you've seen the plans that we've been provided. That's what we provided.
And I want you to keep in mind, again, I don't work for them, but I'm looking at myself. If they get turned down for the expansion, the problems that are there will exist forever. They won't be obligated to do it, to do anything.
Where I do get the merit, because I
Yeah.
would say, is the fact that they're going to connect the drainage, that new pot that he's going to
Right.
put in, that definitely is going to alleviate, because right
Yeah.
now, that water spout just empties right out there. to
Yeah.
the concrete.
Yeah.
So we're trying to work with it, but we need a solution for that little northeast corner. I don't know if you could dig a trench and put some more cement down there.
I'm not an engineer. I don't know.
Exactly.
Do you want,
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So I want to ask our city attorney, this water intrusion, right, into this community that we're talking about here, is that, if it continues to be a problem in the future, is that can it be considered a nuisance? Is that a code enforcement type of approach that we're talking about?
Water to be the stream within the property.
Mm-hmm.
It could possibly be an enforcement action, that provision of the code, but you could get passive fines if you have an order entered by the customer. It seems to me that this is sounding more like a private nuisance
Right. But code enforcement could be an option, right? Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, yes.
Has code enforcement ever been called out about this issue in the past? Not being rude, I'm
No,
just
no,
curious. I
sorry.
don't know the history
No,
of it.
I'm sometimes so nice, sometimes you're so good that you're stupid. So when I saw those, the neighbors said.
I can never imagine anybody would consider you
Well,
anything.
sometimes you are, and I said, I went over there, I spoke to the person in charge and I said, what the hell are you doing? If I call the city, this will be a fine.
Right.
You are throwing your water into my property. What is this? And they went, oh. So I said to them, I'll give you 48 hours to fix it. They did. What they do is they cut the PVC and they cover it. That's all they did. Now, nothing else has been done because this is a fact. We are 18 inches lower. We were the only taxpayers, and there's everybody else that built after we were there. The quotes changed and everything is higher. So we know that we can't tell them, get out, you're
Yeah,
too
that-
high.
that
So we
happens
live with it.
unfortunately a lot.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
you buy a home in a residential area and I see how many times you change
Zoning, correct.
zoning. And this is why I said this is a done deal, and I understand that. But think about it, and everybody should really, really, really maybe go to the property and think about are we asking for too much? If you want your 20 beds, I don't mean for them not to do it. I know it is a done deal. You mentioned it at one time. So at least are we asking for too much? If Seth would have explained it, I'm not an engineer either. I cannot understand why they cannot just do a little trench there for the water to flow so that it doesn't go on the ground. Do something so it doesn't go on the ground.
I think that's what he was saying.
that's what they're
I think
That's
exactly
what
he was
they're
saying,
trying
yeah.
to do, but what I think, and I had the same issue in my neighborhood. My house was the highest. I don't know why. Actually, they said the architect that did the area made his house and he made it higher, and the neighbors would get so mad when it would rain and all my water would go into their property. So I would get that often. I would get that often.
I just don't see it on the plans, and
Correct.
that
So
worries me.
so seeing that they're saying that they're doing what they think, what the engineer, let me see, knows that would be the best remedy, but he can't guarantee that it's going to solve the entire issue because of the difference of the level. They can bring their property down, you can bring yours up. So it's something that's been existing. How long have you been having that issue?
Since they built, since the college built, since everybody built behind us, we've been having that issue.
Okay, so
I'm
that.
not saying you in particular. Just
Right.
everybody.
So we have other options now. If this gets denied today, you're gonna have this option, this issue forever. If they're trying to find a solution, the engineers thinking that this is the best that they could come up with without the best that they could come up with, because they purchased the property in this manner the same way. But you do have remedies after, because if there is an issue, you could come to the city and you could call code enforcement and you could be as proactive and as stern as you are right now, which is a great thing, that the city is not going to ignore you, because no, if you look, nobody here has ignored you, because we want to make sure that the right thing is done by you, because something have been done incorrectly in the past. But we are looking for solutions. I don't think we're going to come out with a great solution at this moment, but the best case scenario in a bad situation, I think, is what they're offering now. And again, we have meetings twice a month. You could come here every single meeting and tell us, they're not doing it, they're not doing it, they're not doing it, they're not doing it. What do? Code enforcement, code enforcement.
But one comment that you made, President, is that it gotta be on the approval. It has to be on paper somewhere. And that is not on paper. That little corner, there's nothing on paper that just says the trees.
Is
It
that
doesn't show-
the case? Or
That's all we got.
Deborah, is that the, no, no. Go ahead, Javi. Sorry.
Can we get that to her?
Does that include that area they're talking about, that northeast area?
So we need to amend the reference in the ordinance to reflect the most current.
And we will be delighted that to incorporate the latest and greatest plans as a replacement to the plans that are on record today.
Deborah, are we good with that? Okay. Lorena?
I don't have any other reference other than this one, so the comments were made at this meeting.
Where is that so we could get that? Javi?
Seth?
Seth?
have-
Through the chair, please?
Yes,
what-
ma'am.
The difference between the plans that were on first reading and the plans that you've worked on? Do you have the ability to send that to us?
Yes, I believe, unless they got lost in the mail transaction, that we sent those to your office last week.
Yes. But what we're looking for is a digital copy that the city attorney's office can incorporate into the ordinance.
Oh, absolutely. I can send that.
Can you repeat that date? April 19th, Seth, are the plans, are the date of the plans that she has. And I'm certain there's something more current than that, correct?
Yes, there's some that's dated, I believe, May 18th, May 19th.
Do you have that, Deborah? Okay.
So you should send a copy of those plans signed and sealed with the date, so we will incorporate that reference into the ordinance. You can email them to Javier or to me, but we need to have them as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I will send those.
So we'll do that, if we do the approval today, we'll do it based on, and we'll add that date onto our approval to make sure that that's what's coming before us.
Yes, but the thing is, I believe the residents want to see what that's going to look like somehow in the plans. Yeah. They
Okay.
want, we can say all this up here, but they need to leave with something they can bite their teeth into.
President?
Right, yes, sir.
We'll be happy to take a deferral of the second.
I think that would be,
Hold on, let me just.
Yeah,
finish what
go
I was gonna
ahead.
say, 'cause this is
Go
a-
ahead, sir.
But I am certainly here to tell you right now that this lady standing next to me doesn't believe a word we say, even if we do that. You're gonna be here like next time, and there's still gonna be issues. And it's a shame that they're gonna be put through a deferral because of this. This is a great company. You've never seen this legal counsel say that he's gonna do something and not do it. Okay? This is un capricho in the eyes.
but
in
but
Spanish.
we'll, but
And
if
I
you
hate
show
to
us,
see
we'll
them
believe
go
it.
through that.
That'll be
Because
fine.
they're gonna be back here next time, even if we do that, and we're gonna do that, and it's gonna be the same situation. And it's unfortunate that because of that, and I hate to see the reasoning behind it, that they're being put through a deferral.
Through the chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Javi, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. The thing is that we just explained to her, I think she's clear and she knows that if it doesn't happen, nothing happens, and that she may, even with the new plans, she still may have those issues in the future because he can't guarantee that what he's trying to do is going to work 100%. He said it. He said it. No, I just said that. I just said that
Just a moral victory
specific.
To make us have to wait, what, another month?
I understand. I understand. That's why I asked if he could send them right over. All right, so
I
it's
am
the pleasure of the council.
excuse me.
Okay.
I just want to clear something. This lady, as he called me, I'm representing the association and 126 owners. This is not a
Understood.
capricho. This is not something that I want just because this is not what it is.
I don't think
I'm
anybody up
trying
here
to
has
do the best.
I don't think
I'm
so
trying
either.
to do
Don't
the
worry
best,
about that.
like I did with the college. We went through this. I have people here that have known me, and it's not a capricho. I'm doing the best I can. As if it was for me, no way. Get out. We don't want no more buildings. We don't want nothing. I'm trying to work with them as much as I can, but I'm representing 126 houses.
Understood.
You'll be heard. Thank you, sir.
What's on paper?
What, this would call for, are you requesting a table, deferring this item for 2 weeks? Sir, I have to depend on the will of the council.
Yeah,
Sir?
we'll
Yes.
we'll motion the table for 2 weeks.
We have a motion to table from Councilman Tundidor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, who was it? I'm sorry.
Perez.
Me.
Second from Madam Vice President.
Before you take a vote,
Yes.
just for the record, I will not be in the country when this comes back. Mr. Menendez will not be here either.
Javi, so, through the chair.
Yes, sir.
This table, and listen, I think everyone here in the council, I mean, I may be wrong, but it seems like we understand how this issue is going to be addressed, right? And I think everybody understands that it's not a full guarantee. I mean, nothing here is guaranteed. This is out of respect to the community, to make sure that you have what you need to take back to your people in PSN, in the Palm Springs Lakes. And again, I want to be very clear. So once we get it back in 2 weeks, I think we have
consensus.
I just
right.
want to make, I'm only saying it so that if you don't see me,
No.
I will have representation here
Okay,
in some way,
okay.
shape, or form.
Yeah.
I don't want you to
Okay.
think I'm ignoring
No.
this.
No
I will be
worries.
out of the country when it comes back. No, please.
Go to the first.
He'll have a heart attack on us.
Well, let's-
What's the date, Madam Clerk, then?
June 14th.
June 14th, like
We
we
need to
said.
take the roll,
Thank you
though,
for
sir.
reminding. On the motion
Yeah.
to table, yes, go ahead, take the roll.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes. Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Motion carries. The item is tabled until June 14th, 2022.
If
Thank
she
you. We'll get it
reaches
right for
out,
next
can the engineer, if Nancy reaches out, can somebody communicate with her within the 2 weeks if need be, please?
I'm gonna
Javi,
do it personally.
thank you,
I'm gonna make
Javi.
sure there's no disconnect
Thank
between
you.
Seth and-
Thank you, Javi. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Okay, we'll see you
We're
in
all
2
clear
weeks.
that this isn't 100% guarantee. Whatever he's going to show us.
More than 2 weeks.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes, sir. June 14th, be back here. Thank you, sir. All right. You need to catch up on some votes.
Yes, I need Madam Vice President's vote on item PZ5
Yes.
and your vote on item PZ8.
Easy what?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Tumidor, your vote on item PZ8.
8?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. So thank you. We're at PZ4.
Oh my God, only?
Second reading and public hearing of proposed
we got-
ordinance rezoning property from R1 One Family District to R33 Multiple Family District, granting a variance permit to allow front setback of 21.8 feet where 25 feet are required. Allow street side setback of 6 feet where 15 feet are required. Allow rear setback of 11.6 feet where 20 feet are required. Allow total lot coverage of 31% where 30% is the maximum allowed. And allow 23% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-589, 98-590, 98-591, 98-2056, subsection B1, and 98-2056, subsection B2. Property located at 782 East 37th Street, Hialeah, Florida, zoned R1, One Family District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ4 is on second reading, open for public discussion.
Through the
Ma'am?
chair. Thank you. Deborah, I have a quick question. That's on 31st Street. Is that part of the issue that we had with flooding at one time? The last time there was a horrible hurricane that we had flooding?
37, you mean?
When we,
37th Street.
oh, 37th Street. 37th. Yeah. So they're going to knock down and they're going to do on both properties, one, or they're going to do two on each lot?
No, they're going to build a multifamily building.
A multifamily building.
Yeah.
So
In
they're
that
gonna
lot.
knock everything up and do the correct elevations and everything that we need that wasn't there before.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
perfect.
It has like an L shape.
I-
And one
I
of
saw.
the legs of
Yeah.
of the L has a lower height, so because it's close to a single family home.
Okay. Motion to approve.
All right, motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilman Tundidor. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes?
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes, Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. PZ 6.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow the replatting of the property into two substandard lots. Lot 1 having a frontage of 40.01 feet and total lot area of 5,399.87 square feet, where 75 feet frontage and 7,500 square feet are required. And Lot 2 having a frontage of 40.01 and total lot area of 5,399.91 square feet, where 75 feet frontage and 7,500 square feet are required. And once platted, allow the construction of a single-family house on each platted substandard lot. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-499. Property located at 1140 West 32nd Street, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you so much. PZ 6 is on first reading, not open for public discussion, but certainly by the petitioner and discussion from us. Sir, did you want to be heard or
No,
Mr. De La Paz?
Through the chair.
Ma'am, you are recognized.
Thank you. I have one quick question. I'm going to ask the question again, Deborah. On this property, instead of splitting the property in half and having duplexes on each lot, your suggestion is to have the one lot with one,
No, he's splitting it into lots and building a single family.
a single family on each. That's what I meant. I'm sorry. Splitting it instead of having duplex, a single family on each house. That is your recommendation? Okay. Motion.
Motion to approve from Councilman, I'm sorry. I
Thank you.
apologize, Councilwoman Casal Munoz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Tundidor. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes, Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
I think it was the colored chart that did it, Frank. Wow. You're very welcome, sir. PZ 7, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay for the development of a 27-unit multifamily building pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-1630.8, granting a variance permit to allow only residential uses where mixed use is required, allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is allowed above ground floor level only, allow 18 residential units with an area of 595 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum required, and only 10% of the units may have an area of 600 square feet. Allow 7 feet front setback on East 7th Avenue for encroachment of balconies above the ground floor, where 10 feet built-to-line are required. Allow 32 parking spaces where 61 parking spaces are required, and allow 29.6% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Sections 98-1630.1, 98-1630.2, 98-1630.3, subsection E1, 98-2189, subsection 16A, and 98-2056, subsection B1. Property located at 40 East 10th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right. PZ7 is on first reading, not open for public discussion, but certainly from the presenters or anyone from the dais. Did you want to present or wait for questions? Sir?
Just very
Name and
briefly, by
address.
way of background, Mr. President.
Name and
I'll make it
address.
Very quick.
Thank you.
My name is Guillermo Cuadra, excuse me, with the Lazarte Law Firm. Felix sends disregard, he was unable to come here. Our address is 3250 Northeast First Avenue in the city of Miami. By way of background, I just want to relate to the council that back on 2016, we had received approval for a 9-story high development of 54 units. Over time and working also with your planner, we right-sized the project to what you have now.
Right.
3 stories, 27 units, which basically better complements the surrounding low-density residential area in the vicinity. At this point, I just wanted to give you that background, and I await any questions, if any, from any council members. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any questions? Deborah, is this parking plan going to work? Please come up. This variance for the parking?
For each unit, then they have 2 accessory parking spaces, 2 additional parking spaces, and then they will build on street parking. But along each 9 stores,
He's
there,
9?
there's some street parking where that city park is, and
Okay.
along all that street, there's city park.
Okay.
And all the commercial, the surrounding
Yeah.
commercial is empty.
Okay.
Is this, through the chair, sorry.
Sir, yes.
This is by the factory town, the entertainment district?
No, this is north of Hialeah Drive, next
Yeah.
to the, what we call the NBD gateway.
I mean, but it's, I mean, relatively close to the entertainment district?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Closer to
it's
Leah.
relatively close, but not that you can, I don't think you can walk there.
Okay,
No.
You could walk, but it's not like a 5-minute walk.
right,
It would
right.
be like a 5 minutes.
Motion?
Motion? I'm sorry, were you done, sir?
Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
motion, but yeah, I second that motion.
Did you? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez and a second from Councilman Tundidor. Please call the roll.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
Have a good night. Say
Thank you,
hello to
Mr. President,
Felix.
council
for us.
members.
Thank you, sir. Sirs. And we skip to PZ9.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district, and RO residential office to B1, highly restricted retail district, granting a variance permit to allow front setback of 10 feet where 20 feet are required. Contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-929. Property located at 4915 East Palm Court, 4935 East Palm Court, 4910 East First Avenue, and 4930 East First Avenue. Hialeah zoned R1, one family district, and RO residential office, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
PZ9 is on first reading. Is this the cardiologist? Yeah, right? Matt? Yeah, okay. Yes. Yes.
So he came before us.
Yes.
He was going to build
Amazing.
certain things,
Yeah.
but at the end, he changed architects and he went to
Okay.
a very good architect. He
Yeah.
has a nice project, no variances.
That's
because
right.
He's asking for a variance that he doesn't need, and it's a new building.
Yeah.
You would see the rendering.
Yeah.
So,
It's
I don't know if they are here, but even if they are not here,
no problem. A pleasure. Thank you, sir. Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah, motion from Councilman Tundidor. Thank you, Ms. Dorch.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor? Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
Thank you. PZ 10, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R3 Multiple Family District to R35 Multiple Family District, granting a variance permit to allow a front setback of 11.4 feet where 25 feet are required. Allow east and west interior side setbacks of 7 feet where 10 feet are required. Allow a rear setback of 10.6 feet where 20 feet are required. Allow lot coverage of 34.5% where 30% is the maximum allowed, and allow 22.3% pervious area where 30% pervious area is the minimum required. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-589, 98-590, 98-591, and 98-2056, subsection B1 and B2. Properties located at 61, 63, 75, and 77 West 31st Street. Hialeah zoned R3, multiple family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
We have, I'm sorry, ma'am? Caesar?
Good evening, Caesar Mestre with law offices.
Go ahead.
Law offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. If I could share my screen, please. Okay, can we see that? Okay. This property was before you recently. The land use has already been changed from medium density to high density residential. And we're here asking for a rezoning from R3 to R35. It encompasses two different lots. This is the third one from the corner on West 31st Street. And Councilman Calvo, in looking at this and preparing for this, this may be an area that you could consider for your CRPs. It's really a blighted area. And I believe your planner says that in her recommendation. This is the other lot. This is the second lot from the corner. These are some of the buildings that are located on the same block on the south side of the street. The one that you see here on the corner is actually one that I've brought before you a couple of years ago, trying to legalize it. It had more units than what it was authorized for. These are some of the two-story buildings that are located on the same block. Again, these are all buildings that are located within the block. Our position is that our proposed building is consistent with the area. The planner in her recommendation states that 32 units per acre is consistent with what's here now. There's a garage on the corner on Palm Avenue. These are the duplexes that are there now, the two. And this is the proposal that we're asking for. We're asking for the zoning R33. There's no variances for parking. It's going to be 12 units and 24 parking spaces. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, we'd ask you to go along with your planner with the recommendation of approval, and also with your zoning board that also recommended approval. And as you can see, none of the neighbors have an issue with this project.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's the one.
If you don't speak into the mic, I can't hear.
When they came for the land use, one of the recommendations of the Water and Sewer Department is that prior to development, they need a hydraulic analysis, so they will have to do that.
Perfect.
We'll review that at the site plan and concurrency review.
I'm sorry, Caesar, what I was saying is I was confused. We've been going back and forth on the items today, and I was confused with an item before that was on 38th Street. But one of the things that my concern was on 31st Street is that the elevation is very low, and that was, that's like a flooding area when we have a lot of rains. But Deborah's telling me that there's already been talks about doing hydraulic analysis on the property. So, I'm glad, and I love the renderings.
Thank you.
We have a motion from
Second.
Councilman Rodriguez, a second from Councilwoman Casal Munoz.
No, Brian.
Did you say second, though? Did you say? I know.
Brian.
Brian, I know I heard, okay, second from Brian Calvo. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tumidor? Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, Caesar. Good night. 16, final decisions. I guess we have Justo Diaz and Daisy Jimenez there, right? It's okay. You can come up if you like. I'm just sorry you had to wait this long. Please read it into the record.
Proposed resolution approving the final decision of the Planning and Zoning Board, decision number 2022-08, granting an adjustment on the property located at 780 Southeast Fifth Place, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district, and providing for an effective date.
Through the chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Deborah, why the denial on this?
Let's approve.
See, I'm so confused. I just pulled out the wrong one again. Motion.
We have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor? Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. I guess we're all done. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Is it unanimous?
Motion.
Meeting is